Hey guys, I'm Brian on YouTube at New Life Recovery. Today I have an interesting question for us to consider. What if recovery was easy? What if the fruit that we wanted in our lives was just as natural as an apple tree bearing apples? The truth is, what grows out of our lives is directly related to the soil in which we're rooted in. Another example would be a steak sitting in marinade overnight, and that steak takes on the flavor of the thing in which it's marinated. And I think that it's true that you could tell the difference between something that's marinated in a savory sauce versus a steak that was marinated, say, in pickle juice, right? You're going to be able to tell the flavor. And the same is true of our lives. The flavor of our life is affected on the things that we are rooted in or the things that we marinate in. So today I want to look at three different things that we got to be careful to uproot ourselves out of or make sure that we're not rooted in, and then some things that we need to be rooted in. Or if you like the other illustration, we need to be careful not to marinate in this and rather be marinating in these other things. And the first one that I want to talk about is simply negativity. Sometimes we are rooted in bitterness, and it makes perfect sense because many of us have been hurt. Some have gone through trauma. And the truth is, life is hard, and the real world can be a cold, dark place. And so some of us have been through some things. Some of us have trust issues because, man, we've been hit from every side and it's hard. And we tend to be a little bitter. The challenge is then the fruit that grows on our tree happens to be negative, critical, and judgmental. And I know that all of us, can do that from time to time. But if that's the flavor of your life, you might be marinating, you might be sitting in, soaking, rooted in, soaking up from the ground that bitterness, and it's changing the flavor of your life. So in that instance, we really do need to try to focus on love, joy, and peace, positivity, encouragement. This is where spirituality comes in. I mean, have you ever heard the story of the Buddhist monk that was angry? And it's a trick question because Buddhist monks are never angry, right? I mean, they're the happiest people. Why? Because they're saturating their mind with peace. They're focusing on spiritual principles. And out of that comes genuine peace, a natural peace. And it's not something that has to be contrived or worked really hard for because it's the natural outpouring of what you're rooted in. And here in the West, maybe you're a spiritual person and you're, follow Christianity, then you're reading the Bible, and that is what's nourishing you. And so the fruit of your life now begins to show that because you're getting all this positivity in. It reminds me of that old computer programming saying that says garbage in, garbage out. And it's true, a computer program, if you program garbage in, it's going to get garbage out. But the same is true in the things that we're rooted in. If you put garbage in, you're going to get garbage out. And so the encouragement for us here is this. I'm going to try. I encourage you to try to focus, be intentional on being positive. Be intentional on focusing on what's good rather than what's bad. Focus on the solution rather than the problem. Focus on what you're grateful for rather than what you don't have. When we become rooted in positivity, in peace, in joy, when we become rooted in trying to be a better person, the flavor of our life is going to begin to demonstrate that. Now, all those things that we want in life isn't something that we're going to have to try really hard for. It's going to be the natural outpouring of a life that is rooted in love, joy, and peace. And if you're a spiritual person, spirituality. Another thing we need to uproot ourselves from is really just this fast paced life. And the truth is, man, I don't know if life's ever been faster. We can go around the world quicker than we've ever gone. News travels around the world instantly with the internet. We've got fast cars and fast food. We live a fast-paced life. The problem is sometimes we're so often pulled in this direction and that we don't have time for any of that fruit on our branches to mature. The reason for that is we can't focus well on one thing because we're doing, frankly, too many things. One thing my wife and I did to curb this years ago when our kids were little, we only let our kids be in one sport at a time because they'd want to do three sports at a time. And every waking moment, we're taking them to this practice or that, and we're going to this game or that, and it became too much. The idea is I want to be able to have some balance in my life. I had someone say to me once, and this is really interesting. Do you ever notice how often you use the words real quick? Hey, I'm gonna do this real quick. I'll be right back. And he said, why do it real quick? He said, why not just do it as long as it takes and do a good job and move on? And the point that he was making was this: we tend to have this expectation that I have to do everything real quick. We need to be rooted in a lifestyle of self care so that part of our lifestyle, part of our daily routine is making sure that I'm taking care of myself too. Maybe for you, that means going tanning or getting your nails done every once in a while. Maybe that means for you going to get a massage every once in a while. Maybe that means taking a break and for 10 or 15 minutes go and play the guitar or play the piano or do some drawing or something fun, something that you enjoy. Part of our life needs to be rooted in self-care, which includes doing our hobbies or things that we love so that we can grow positive fruit in our life. If our life is always fast paced, we're going to be marinating in that fast paced life and the flavor isn't going to be that good. So we need to add in self care. You hear me say this all the time, but I say, you can't pour from an empty pitcher. Man, my pitcher is so empty. I don't have time to give, I don't have anything left to give to my kids, to my wife, to my job. So I need to make sure I'm filling up my pitcher. The last thing that I want to touch on, and we'll kick you guys out of here for today, is this idea of news and entertainment. So when we are rooted in or marinating in all of the news, it can be overwhelming. And I've shared this before too, but I've had to give myself permission. You don't have to follow every war minute by minute, day by day, hour by hour. I needed to give myself permission to check out from the news because all of that negativity, all of that sensationalism, it's not great for us. In fact, it's interesting. If you were to listen to Fox News, you would believe that all Democrats are the devil. And if you listen to CNN, you're going to believe that all Republicans are the devil. And I'm beginning to think that it's the news organizations that are the devil. Man, but we got all of this constant friction and fighting. And when I marinate in that, it changes the flavor of my life. I don't like the fruit that that bears in my life. So we have to be careful even how much news that we watch. And along those lines are entertainment. And this, I think, is fascinating. Not too long ago, I was watching Netflix and I was noticing all the titles that they were putting up on my feed to say you could watch this or that. And as I looked, almost all of them had to do with murder. It was, cold case files or, the case of the missing person with this or this serial killer. And it just gave me pause. And I'm not saying you have to get rid of Netflix or Hulu or whatever it is that you watch, but man, I need to be careful about limiting my exposure. My wife and I watch a show that has got to do with these missing persons, and they try to find out what happened to these missing persons. But you know what? I don't want to watch that all the time because I don't want to marinate in all of that negativity. So I will make sure I watch America's Funniest Videos. I make sure I watch America's Got Talent and just things that are lighter. And, that's an encouragement to us as well. Why not rather be grounded in something that's healthy for us? So maybe for you, you're reading self-help books or listening to positive, encouraging podcasts or YouTube videos. These are the kind of things that we need to be rooted in. So we need to be rooted in positivity rather than negativity, a balance of that fast-paced life instead of that real quick. And we need to be marinating in positive things, not always the news and entertainment. Guys, I hope that was encouraging for you. So I'm Brian on YouTube at New Life Recovery. God bless you. I love you. And until next time, be well.